Okay, so here with Abbey, aka Lyx Sandbottom. Lyx, you were doing your little magic tricks in the tent, in the painted world circus tent, impressing the crowd. And as you were kind of climbing around doing funny little tricks, throwing stuff under people's seats and wowing everybody and climbing around like a spider, you did your flame breath as your kind of like little final act. First one I think went well, but then the second one transformed into something dark and purpley, and all of a sudden the face of a dragon comes out of your flames. That dragon's mouth opens, this flaming dragon face completely consumes you, and the audience, which includes dogs, started freaking out. So now you're actually back to where it all began. If you can recall the first session, the pre-session, you're in this strange world where there are purple sand dunes everywhere. It's basically an endless desert of purple sand, and the sky is pitch black with not a light to see you. But yeah, just the contrast of these colors, you can still see, the purple sand obviously, but there is no clear light.
Is there a flatness? Is there any shadow?
Dunes, there's ripples in the sand. No, there's no shadow. Nothing is emitting shadows except for you. You're emitting a shadow.
Okay.
But yeah, you're back in this. You're still in your top hat and magician's garb.
My mustache.
There is something. Actually, do a perception or arcane check. I'll let you choose.
Well, I'm gonna choose arcane.
Okay, it's pretty good. So yeah, with that's really good.
Got a 22.
Yeah, you feel the tide here is, you finally notice the power of this place with the tide, and it feels kind of like gravity's weighing down on you, and you feel kind of weak but powerful at the same time. It's an overwhelming energy, which you didn't recognize the first time you were here. And also there's something off. I mean, there was always something off with this place, but it feels as if...
Like, are you a little nauseous, or there's something physical?
It still feels a little distorted like the other place that you were in. Things still look a little glossy. And actually there is a wind, and that's what you can hear in the background. There's like a wind that's kind of kicking around some of the sand dunes, reshaping this entire place. Yeah, reshaping the sand dunes and kicking around the sand. So yeah, what do you do?
So I'm all alone?
Yep, at the moment, yeah, it seems so.
Well, I will go climb to the highest dune. I'll try and get some perspective if I can.
Sure. Yeah, you do that. It kind of takes longer than you think it would. There's like one that's out maybe a half a mile away that looks pretty tall, and you start heading there. And then as you make it up there to the top, you do notice something kind of on the other side of this giant dune, and it looks like a giant skull. You can definitely see like what would be the eye of a giant reptile, and maybe part of a snout and teeth, and maybe the beginnings of a horn, but that's it.
And it's just a skull. There's no flesh.
Yeah, there's no flesh. There's no nothing, and you don't see any body parts or anything. It looks like that might be sunken into the sand completely. It's just part of a horn. It's like the right side.
How far away am I from that?
I mean, it's just below this sand dune. So this sand dune's probably pretty tall, like 70 feet tall, something like that.
Okay.
But it's obviously sloped, right?
I will slide down to it, thinking that the last time I was here, I saw Crake, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, and as you start sliding, your shadow starts to move in front of you instead of being behind you, and it starts to link to this giant skull, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until suddenly the ground starts to shake. Sand starts spewing up as if it's smoke, as if it's lava about to erupt, just poofing around everywhere as this skull starts to shake and shake and shake, and your dark energy, your shadow, starts to consume this skull, turning it from kind of this fossil-y browny color into pitch black, a pitch black skull that starts to shake and stand and rise as the sand keeps falling all over. You can't actually really see what's going on because there's so much purple sand everywhere, trickling everywhere. You can't really see this form besides darkness until suddenly you see fully fleshed out with beautiful jewelry and ornamentation all over his horns. His horns almost look golden, actually. His giant ram-shaped horns look almost golden with the amount of jewelry and strange baubles and gems on it. Noticeably, he has a giant green gem right on his forehead. It almost looks like it's ingrained into his forehead. It's not like kind of like the giant gem under the Ishtarian museum. Like it's like half of it is out. So unless he cut it in half and then put that half there, otherwise there's something inside of him, a gem inside of his forehead. He's menacing. I kind of imagine it as menacing green eyes. And yeah, I mean, just this enormous black dragon with, honestly, it's almost like a haunting beauty to Crakenthrax, the black dragon who you've mysteriously had a relationship with this entire campaign and has supposedly been the source of a lot of your power. Yeah, I mean, he looks like from head to tail, probably well over 100 feet. His wingspan is incredible. And he's standing above you. Sand still kind of falling off of him as that skeleton is now fully fleshed out. There's still something odd about him. There's still something kind of glowy and like unreal about it. But this is definitely the most formed out version of Crakenthrax that you've ever seen. Like before, it was just kind of spiritual. Like even in the New Atari Temple, it was like almost like a fiery spirit thing.
All right, well, Lyx feels that like skip in a heartbeat, a little bit of panic, especially being alone, and kind of because the crowd is shaking and kind of because they're nervous. I'm not gonna bow my head, but I will go down on one knee, kind of destabilized, kind of as a respect, and ask, are you doing this? Did you pull me here again?
And you hear back this booming, haunting, but somewhat elegant voice respond.
Who else? Lyx Sandbottom. I take you to your namesake, surrounded by my sin, my torment. This world you've entered, this strange, tie-twisted world has increased my power, and now I finally have you here before me.
This is another world?
Yes, and you were in another one just now. One where my influence came back to me.
Did you pull us into the artwork?
I have no clue what you're talking about. All I know is you entered a distorted world. A world made by some others. A world made by some gods or evil users of the tide. I know not what that place was, but my influence came back, and now I've brought you to me.
What is it that you want from me?
I was going to ask you the same thing. What do you want, Lyx? You've shown me lies. You've shown me how you torment your foes. You've shown me your foolish accolades and adventures. What do you want?
You know what I want. I said the same.
And you know what I want.
No, I don't.
I want to be free of this prison. I want to be gone from this hell of being trapped with a weakling like you, and trapped in these dastardly signs.
Who trapped you?
Go ahead and do a insight check. So not great.
Yeah, only a 10.
You can't really read Crake's face as he's kind of hiding well what he is expressing, but he says,
I've been trapped here for 2 millennia. Trapped in this personal jail created for me by supposed gods of good. They punished me for what I did, for trying to bring a vision to this cursed planet we call Green.
So you want me to help you out of this world? How could I even do that?
I do not know, but I feel it in the tide. Especially now, through you've touched the Atari, that god that thinks they can do whatever they please. You touch their power. I feel it. If you find the source of what connected us, that source might be strong enough to free me from you and from my prison.
So you didn't create me?
No. Why would I create such a pathetic worm? Especially one I can't destroy.
and acid starts to kind of like foam out of his mouth as he looks like he wants to attack you, but you can tell that he knows it seems like it's futile, like you two are connected.
Okay. Well, if we're going to be tethered, maybe I will help you. I don't know.
What do you want then, Lyx?
I already told you what I want, but you cut me off a few seconds ago. I said it last week and I'll say it again. I want control.
Beyond control. What do you want with your friends, your family? Vogler, which was burned down.
Yeah, Vogler's gone. Vogler's gone. There's nothing to want. I want to be free. I want to stop being scared. I want to stop listening to little doo-doo men in power.
There we go. Now you're showing some honesty. Accept my power. I don't know the path to free me, but I would give you this trade. My power to help you survive, to help you find the answers we seek in exchange for freeing me of this eternal sand. Both this dreaded abyss, this abyss of purple hell, and the abyss of you, Sandbottom. I am cursed, trapped by this sand.
I will try and learn more. You don't even know where you are, though. How can I even help?
The gods started the abyss. This is a special place created for me, for someone as evil as me. A realm where I am neither living nor dead, merely trapped forever, dying by the sand, suffocating, and coming back. My only escape has been you. You channeling my power, killing your foes. It's the only thing that's kept me going and kept me awake.
There's no one else that holds your power that is tethered to you?
Do an insight check.
17?
He can't hold back a horrible smile
Okay.
as he says,
My power. I've shown you what I've done. Only a piece. My power. I don't know who or what is using it, but it's being used. I know not how. Perhaps my body is somewhere. Pieces of me scattered on this planet, and somehow they're using my power. I feel it. I feel it in the blood of the false ones. But they're too stupid and worthless for me to actually channel and see what they do. You seem to be one of the more lucid ones.
and he smiles, and it's pretty hard to fully believe him, but it seems he's telling some truth here, but he's smiling very menacingly and terrifyingly and, smug and confident in his immense power.
Okay, well, I will help you if you aid me with your power and promise to help us defeat the Red Dragon army.
I hold no love for any chromatic king. I was betrayed by one green dragon. You see, actually, I'll tell you the truth only if you agree then to help me on my quest, and I'll help you by giving you more power.
I will help you.
Then we shall make an oath.
And he bows his head down to you all the way down. I mean, he's immense, so he has to go very low. As he kind of puts his snout into the sand, and his gem and eyes are staring at you. The giant green gem is there, and now you can kind of see it's almost like pulsing like a heartbeat. Like this green, horrible energy. It kind of has a similar vibe to the morning flame, actually, which was that dark purple, pulsing, terrifying energy. It's something similar to that, but attached to Crake's head. As his green eyes, and I didn't really explain this with his eyes, but now you can see it more clearly. There isn't really pupils in his eyes. It's almost like fully consumed by this greenness, this green energy. But you can somehow still feel that he's staring at you intensely. And again, it's just like his nose is basically in the sand, and it's just his eyes and these giant horns. His horns are almost wrapping around you like a prison right now.
Okay.
And he says,
touch the gem and repeat after me.
What do you do?
I'll do it. I'll touch it. I slowly reach my right hand and press it.
Now say, I am thou, and thou art I.
I am thou, and thou art I.
From hereforth, our spirits are bonded.
From hereforth, our spirits are bonded.
Through my power and gem.
Through your power and gem.
You are now soul bound to this oath.
I am now soul bound to this oath.
To free me of this prison.
To free you of this prison.
And in return, gain enormous power.
and in return, defeat the Red Dragon army and gain enormous power.
He kind of looks at you sternly and like almost angrily, but lets go and pulls back as this energy, like this green energy, starts to like stay attached to you, and you kind of feel something go within you, and you now have 1 point of something.
Okay.
I won't name it. You have a point of something,
Okay.
and I'll keep track of it too.
Good. Now, this will be easier.
As he just kind of closes his eyes, and your eyes open wide, and you see this giant desert again, but this time it looks like a real desert. There's kind of canyons way far in the background. There's a giant stone pedestal thing with columns rising. It's almost like an enormous octagon, and there's about like 8 columns rising at each of the points, all stone, weird symbols in the middle, and it looks like Crake is doing some weird ritual where this energy is just flowing into him, and there seems to be some kind of hooded being that's kind of walking up to Crake, trying to warn him of something, kind of like trying to reach out. When suddenly out of invisibility comes a green dragon that eats this being, that eats this cloaked figure. And then the green dragon opens up its arms, and out comes what looks to be that Bakaris hero with the dragon lance. Climbing up the green dragon's head, as Crake is in this meditative state, channeling something, and piercing Crake straight into Crake's forehead.
Wow.
As this was happening, Crake was trying to wake up, and immense dragons were starting to come out of the sand all around, these skeletal dragons, but they immediately collapse as this intense amount of energy comes out of this spear. This energy and this force is absolutely
So is this
obliterating
gym
Crake.
cracked though?
Not in the paint, not in the sand world, it looks
Okay.
like. But here, yes, it like cracks, and it looks, blood starts gushing out everywhere, as for a moment, like maybe hundreds or thousands of dragons were about to rise out of the sand around Crake, but it was too late, as it seems like what he said, that a green dragon betrayed him. And yeah, this is a far cry from the story you've heard of Bakaris, the hero who supposedly took on all the dragons and was super brave and epic and whatever. It looks like it was more of a catch him while he's sleeping or doing this other thing, and yeah, betrayed by a supposed ally. And then Crake says,
Now that we are fully lit by mind, body, and soul, all I could show you was the truth.
and then he says,
If you do want to please me, I'd be more than happy to watch your kill and end the Bakaris line. But that is up to you.
I've heard enough for today.
as you say that, you kind of feel that energy that New Atari gave you again come back, where you have that control of the channel. Yeah, the sand from far away starts to kind of like float up into the sky a little bit, like speck by speck, as you realize you have more control again than you thought over Crake in this situation. And Crake's kind of like gets disheveled again, and not timid, but looks like he's just reading what's happening again, and seems a little upset, but isn't saying anything.
Goodbye, Crakenthrax. I will be doing some research on your behalf, and here, something to, I don't know, bide your time. And I throw him the book of Gnomish nursery stories. Something to read.
Kind of like slants, like he's fully upright again, kind of looking like a giant regal evil god again. And this like book kind of goes sliding next to his foot, and he like barely moves his head down. And you could just tell that his eyes just kind of look at it, and then you just see this face of disgust.
They're really quite good if you give them a chance.
It looks like he wants to say something, and you can see like the acids start to foam around his mouth as it's just pure hatred and anger. But with your previous insight check, you could tell that he's trying to play it cool, even though he's internally losing it and hasn't touched the book. It's just at his feet.
Cool. So am I starting to disappear?
He says, Goodbye, Lyx Sandbottom.
And he says that sand part with a lot of spice and venom.
He hates my ancestors.
He doesn't like sand.
Mm-hmm.
You want to cut it off? That's it. Then the world starts to break apart as you see kind of this light again appear below you. You fall through, and there's giant blob pieces everywhere. Your friends look battered, especially Willow. Ilastrius is totally unconscious. And then this strange black figure with a top hat kind of appears with a bunch of shadowy smoke, and that is where we will kick off.
The end.